I think Colorado should start Kaidon Salter against Houston. I think Colorado's offense looked the best with Kaidon Salter against Georgia Tech. And I thought that if Colorado had leaned into the run game, that offense could have looked even better. Now, Ryan Staub absolutely saved the day for Colorado against Delaware. I think he looked great at times, but he only threw 10 passes. I mean, he went 7 for 10. He did his thing, absolutely came in and saved the day for Colorado. They needed an absolute spark. The locker room is behind him. He's been there and done that. But I also think that Coach Fred, correct me if I'm wrong, but especially a kid like that who's been there for so long, if he was that good and everyone's talking like he's the starter now, why wouldn't you give him a shot over Salter in the spring? Just because Salter's a 5-year kid, if he's the better kid in practice why wouldn't you give him a chance earlier if this is the narrative here? Because I think Salter should start. I think it's going to be an absolute battle this week in practice between Staub and Salter. I think Julian Lewis, we've established that he needs a little bit of time to develop a little bit and sit. 2 questions. Do you think they should start Salter against Houston? And then why couldn't they have given Staub an opportunity earlier?
I definitely think they should start him versus Houston. And, as far as, the Staub situation, I just, again, you start to win that locker room, so to speak, and guys start going above and beyond for you. And, those passes that may be off the mark, guys are able to come up with those because they're playing for you, they're rallying behind you. But that only goes so far. You know what I mean, Bailey? That only goes so far. So at some point, the guy that's the most talented is the one that you got to go with. So to me, coming out of the spring, like you said, I got to believe it was Salter. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Because you're going to go with the guy that you feel at the time gives you the best opportunity. So I got to believe it was him coming out of there. And I just think, okay, maybe this kid has just worked and gotten better. Locker room favorite. So it's starting to take off. And then this performance last week doesn't hurt his status in the locker room. So if there's any stumble or stall, I wouldn't be surprised to see him very early.
No, that's a good point. If Kaidon Salter comes out against Houston and does not look the part, don't be surprised to see Staub quick. With that said, Colorado, I mean, it's a short turnaround. It's a Friday game, so you really only got Monday, Tuesday, maybe Wednesday to really kind of test it, rep it out and practice a little bit. There's no way you can rep 3 different quarterbacks with first-team reps. It's just not going to happen. So I think it's really going to go to a priority of Salter and Staub. And let me make this clear. I think people understand. I mean, there's overreaction of just sports media, social media about this situation. I think people are selling Salter short a little bit. I think he can absolutely operate Colorado's offense and throw the ball and people, make his plays. I can only imagine the pressure with that. I'm saying Kaidon Salter can run Colorado's offense. If they lean into the run game, he can absolutely sling the rock here. He did it against Georgia Tech. I thought his performance in Georgia Tech was pretty damn good. Coach Fred, what do you got to see from Kaidon Salter in practice this week? What does his mindset have to be? And same with Staub as well here, the quarterback battle here. What does that look like in Colorado practice this week?
His mindset has got to be that of the starter. He can't go out looking over his shoulder because he goes out to practice this week looking over his shoulder or feeling pressure. You got to feel that, he's in control of it. I got to believe he is. And you've got to help him in that situation. Now, if you're going to come out of guns and blazing and just throw it 50 times, okay, that's fine if that's what you're going to do. But you got to let him know that. And I think it's got to be – you got to lean to what his strengths are. Again, it's not the same offense he ran over at Liberty, but you know his strengths. You know why you brought him there. Now you got to lean into it this week in the game plan for him, I think.
Yeah, I agree with you, Coach Fred. And my gut tells me, I don't know. I sit here and I'm going to preach, run the football. I don't know. Prime might just want to air raid it out. And if Staub, I mean, I don't know. I think Salter can do what they need in the pass game. I also think I don't know. I thought they didn't really lean into the run game as much in the first game as maybe they did this game. And even then, I'm like, yeah, they ran for 100 yards. But, like, when you got DeKalen Taylor and Simeon Price here, hold this one. If we get DeKalen Taylor, Simeon Price running both at 6 yards a carry, I'm like, dude, lean into that a little bit. I don't know. But, I mean, I'm not going to take away too much. It was a victory. But it's also against Delaware, Coach Fred. So I'm like, that's why we battle out this week. find out Friday, but I think you roll with Kaidon Salter. I think Kaidon Salter bounces back in practice this week, and that's what you're going to find out. If anything, Coach, it creates competition, right?
Oh, ain't no doubt. Nobody's comfortable.
Yeah, exactly. Or we could play like it's like Luciano in the chat, like James Madison. James Madison got all kinds. They play Matthew Sluka. They play the other kid. I was watching that game. I'm like, that's so interesting. It's like within series. They're like Sluka play. I mean,
I watched that. That's got to be tough because you got to keep up with all three strengths within that game plan. Saluka can run it. All right, Louisville knows he can run it, but we got to throw a few passes in there to keep it on. I mean, that's a lot of work right there. Ain't no doubt about it.
Yeah, and I just, man, I just don't want to see it. I want Colorado. I think Colorado needs to find their starter this week. Coach Fred, what did I said? I said last week, Colorado needs to find their offensive identity against Delaware. I just don't know if that's the case. I think the quarterback thing has become a distraction from that, to be honest.
And then I'm kind of like you said earlier. Maybe they just want to aerate it out, and that's what it is. That's what it is. But
sure, yeah,
you got to commit to one or the other. Bailey, you know, and I know everybody says they want to be balanced, but nobody's 50-50. That's just not possible.
Yeah.
You got to go with what your strengths are. And you got two backs averaging over 6 yards a carry. I think you got to lean on that.
Definitely. It seems like the offense with that should be catered to Salter a little bit, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if they want to lean into the run game here.
Friday
Coach,
night, baby.
Find out Friday night. That's right.
Friday night.
Willie Fritz, Wegeman, the transfer quarterback. Man, Big 12 showdown here on Friday, Coach. I want to get Coach Prime and show Coach Prime's comments on the quarterback rotation for the Delaware game. Take a listen.
I decided that 2 days ago, and I prayed a lot about it, and I wanted it to tell its own story. Instead of me telling the story, I wanted it to tell its own story. So the plan was each quarterback was going to get 2 series apiece, and that's what they did, and somebody was going to come out of the pack. And then once Staub, I think Staub got 4 because he was consistent. Then I wanted to give the other guys another opportunity. So that's what we did. We went back to the start, and that's how it kind of played out. But I'm proud of all of them, I really am.
Coach Fred, what do you take away from those comments there before I dive into Salter?
I think, maybe it was more to the quarterback battle. That to me says that they weren't settled on, their guy that they rolled out there as number one coming out of camp. In this game here, they circled as an opportunity to see what those other guys would do in live reps. I didn't think it was a quarterback battle, but to me, that comment right there sounds like there was a true quarterback battle that they just weren't really sure on. And then this was another opportunity, an open audition for the position.